Welcome to the E Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.
We checked his pulse. He's alive and well. If you're looking to feel like warm and fuzzy inside, like I'm your guy.
And I'm sure you threw me right under the bus.
Yeah, you're my dog.
Woof. Yeah, goaltending is the toughest position, I think, in all sports.
I think it's announcing.
Neil's dad's a dentist.
You're still pretty nimble at 43. It's not bad.
If I get called 46 years old one more time, I may leave.
What a great lesson in the alphabet.
Dude, you had like butter in your gloves.
That was a bad sneeze.
Often been imitated, never really duplicated.
We're having a good time.
We're having a good time.
And now, here's your host, the commissioner of the Eastern Hockey League, Neil Ravin.
Welcome back to the E Show. Jake, I have to admit, and I'm saying this before I cough once on this episode, this is the best I've felt on a Monday in a while.
Like probably 3 weeks, for almost maybe a month.
Yeah, I was convinced that you were gonna say like 6 or 7 weeks, knowing it's you, right? But maybe we're turning a corner with that.
How much do you know or not? How much do you credit how good you're feeling to Drake May and the Patriots yesterday?
A lot of credit goes to that, for sure. Because I tried explaining this to Olivia one time. I know that you're like kind of a football fan. Like it's not like you don't live and die with it, and like she's not. But like,
no, I mean she had her brother draft her fantasy team. We all know this.
You just called it out. But like, I grew up with Tom Brady. Like I was obviously very fortunate for that, and like as a sports fan, he provided a lot of like moments for me.
Yes.
As a child growing up that like I'll remember forever. So like to have someone that like is almost like that again. We don't know if he'll ever like win a Super Bowl. Maybe he does, right? But like it gets you excited again. Like that, like you actually like arrange your life to make sure you're watching, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I've done it before with the New York Islanders when they were good, and I'm starting to have to do it again now, like with Matthew Schaefer on the team, right? Like I can't really miss much of that. But I mean, are you hoping like for like Chase and Brady that they're gonna have their own like TB12 here with DM10?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'm rooting for the guy. I mean, he's been with his wife since 7th grade. Like that alone makes me want to like root for this guy. Like he just seems like a chill guy.
Yeah, and like they have a coach now who used to be a player there and working in this role with the league, like watching how our coaches work and the messages that they deliver and just how he conducts himself. It's like you can like sit back and kind of admire it in a way and like take it into your own life. Like just watching the way he handled the game last night and the speech afterwards, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to do my job better because of this guy. So that's
like, what, he's like 23, 24 years old. Like good for him.
Yeah, exactly. So, but a big episode this week as we preview the crossover series. JB goes south for the third time.
Third time this year. Yeah, wait, second or third? I don't.
This is the third time. You've already gone twice.
Oh my goodness, yeah. JB goes south this weekend. I'm fired up. Yeah.
And you go south again in March. You're going to go south 4 times this year.
I was already looking at dates in February because the Apple Corps guys were telling me I need to get to the BIA. So
you want to go south 5 times?
I want to go south 1,000,000 times. It's just like time and my car are the only limitations here. But yeah, I want to go to the BIA. There was a time in February I think PLF is playing the Bears too. So I'm looking at February. I mean, I might go 4 months straight. JB goes south.
Well, before we go south and discuss south, or around the East Show segment this week, we'll kick off with an interview with the owner of our brand new franchise in the EHL, Peter Alden. I actually wore the shirt specifically, Jake.
I figured you were.
But the newest team in our league, we announced on Friday, the Elite Golden Knights. We'll welcome on the podcast right now with Around the E Show.
let's take a look at what's going on around the E Show.
As mentioned, this week's Around the E Show, welcoming on the newest owner in the EHL. I was just saying to Jake, Peter, I wore the Quinnipiac shirt specifically for this, and you got the jersey in the background. But welcome to the E Show podcast, Peter Alden.
Yeah, thanks for having us, guys. I appreciate it.
And obviously, we announced this past Friday your new program, the Elite Golden Knights. And I have to be honest, when we first started talking and began this conversation about bringing you in, I didn't know if you wanted to call it Elite Hockey Academy, just to match your program, but you came up with Elite Golden Knights. Did that come from something for you?
I mean, at the end of the day, we're underneath one umbrella through the Elite Hockey Academy, but I definitely wanted to differentiate this new platform for kids and players, and I think the name I think gravitates the kids. It has good bite, and for what it's worth, we came up with a great logo. Took some time to get there, and we want a stepping stone. We really want this thing to be a launch pad for kids. So at the end of the day, we're happy with the name. I think it's exciting. It's been well received. The jersey design and all that stuff. We're pumped for it. So
it's very Vegas Golden Knights, obviously, is what I got some texts about. And everyone knows, as an expansion team, they had some great success in their very first year. So are you feeling you could deliver in the same manner?
Yeah, I think for our purposes too, we've got a nice foundation of players, that are in our system already from 16s and 18s. We've had alumni, that are still age eligible, reach out to us as well too about, either coming back home to their roots in Connecticut and playing for us, the following year, or guys obviously that have, lived with us, in our host families and gone to school and all that are looking for, a clear path, which is what we'll get into too. But, yeah, it's been well received. We have strong inroads in Europe and so forth as well. So a lot of players from all over the world are excited about the opportunity, to come to the United States, being a hotbed of college hockey and playing a fantastic league too.
And while we're still on the subject of the branding and the logo and all that kind of stuff, what did the inspiration for the jerseys come from? How long did that process take? Because I think the blacks are my favorite, but they're both pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool question to ask. I think in our day and age, I mean, it's sex appeal, it's marketing. Kids love swag. They love rocking the brand. For our purposes, we look at the Knight as something that with being fierce and aggressive. Somebody that's obviously has great courage. And I think it's not to get too deep in the weeds with it too, but I think when you're part of something, an army, you have, a Knight establishes good leadership, and, we want, our leader, to have good continuity, part of a community, show strong unity. So that's how it all kind of came together. But definitely the Knight is more of a bold, very fierce look, which is what we want to be, coming into year one.
Which do you lean, the gray or the black?
Yeah, the black I love, and then the gray kind of grew on me too. So it's definitely a toss up, a jump ball.
It's close, yeah.
Push comes to shove. If both of them, are to die for, it's a tough call. I think we'll look good on the ice at least there too.
I think what Jake is getting at is we always wear jerseys on this podcast usually. So if there was an extra gray or a black, we'll split them accordingly. When this approval went down, obviously it coincided with our midseason Snowdown showcase in December in your home state. You came out, you watched the game, and I want to cover kind of both sides of it because I think there's a connection there for both sides. The first one being the Central Division. So you were watching that Rhode Island versus Avalanche game. You're jumping into a Central Division that Rhode Island has frankly dominated this year. They just had their 19-game winning streak snapped on Saturday, but it's been their division from start to till now, right? When you watch them play, I mean, is there a motivating challenge, I guess you could say, to come in and contend with them right away?
Yeah, I mean, and Neil, your professionalism and how you treat people, from the way you communicate is something that's really attractive. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for you and guys like Chris Sorrell and some others, I don't know if I'd really would have even showed up and really pursued this opportunity. And that being said, when I got into the environment, I saw how professional it was. The way that you treat people, your staff, including Jake, how active they are, within making everybody's brand better and making sure that everybody's got their own unique type of exposure. But when I saw that game, how intense it was, the goaltending, the physicality, the kids, the players up and down the ice. And then, I think also to be mentioned, Chris Sorrell is a good friend of mine, and I've always, looked up to him. We used to share the same office, when he was working with the Wolfpack and myself as well. But I know how professional he is and how hard he really pushes and challenges his players. But when you look at the guys, the coaches on the benches, I mean, this isn't this is all about professionalism. This is all about making players better, teaching kids, players how to win. It's not a sacrificial environment. So that really drew me between the personal relationships, the broadcasting, and then how hard the guys were competing on the ice. And I will say, Neil, like, Simsbury, Connecticut is not the easiest place to find in New England here, but the amount of scouts that were intensely looking for players, with contracts in their pockets, to change guys' lives at the next level. That's something it was like an aha moment. Like I need, I think our, New England in general needs, more programs to buy into the Eastern Hockey League like this, because as I said, I mean, hockey changed my life at the next level. These guys that are fighting for contracts, same type of thing. I mean, to have the opportunity for kids to play in front of this exposure, college, professional levels, like this is outstanding. This is what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad you mentioned Chris too. We wouldn't be able to get through this interview without mentioning him. Obviously, the QU connection that you guys have, and I guess I would be remiss to not ask this. Since I make the schedule, the showcase schedule every year, how early on next year do you want to face the Fs? He wants me to ask this too, just so you know.
Right off the bat, let's go nose to nose. I'm ready for him.
Okay, so Jake, you heard that here. First showcase next year, Elite Golden Knights versus New Hampshire Avalanche.
That's in your hands, man.
Yeah, we spoke this morning already before I told him I was jumping on.
Of course you did.
I gotta make sure my hair's done, my teeth are brushed and ready to go. But we were already going back and forth on players, and he's been a huge help. Just talking about the tender process and the type of team you want to build, moving into year one, and some of the honey spots as well too for recruiting. So again, he's a great resource, I think for everybody. Needless to say, he's a competitive guy, and so am I. So never afraid to back down from a challenge.
All right.
And mentioning, sorry, go ahead, Neil.
No, I just said noted for the schedule next year. We're good.
Gotcha. So, being at the showcase, talking to Chris, how do you plan on kind of tailoring this team to the EHL's league identity?
Yeah, I mean, I the way I saw it, it was, it's a very much in your face type of league. It's very structured, similar to college hockey, something that obviously, I played myself and, watch a lot of it and working with kids too. But, I think that finding guys that want to play 200 feet, finding guys that want to buy into roles that are attractive to the next level as well too, that have a sense of character, that aren't just, just hockey players, but finding great people, the kids that want to buy into your community. But definitely as far as where I'm recruiting, kind of the European style, I think is going to be really attractive for our team to be attracted to lead to the next level. I do want to make sure we have size, strength, and maturity. So we'll definitely go after some older guys, to set the tone and set the presence, and then mix in, a younger crop of kids for the future, that I think again would be attractive to the next level, and then be able to complement, I think the room. So. We have a plan in place. We have kids obviously that are really interested. We posted tryouts last week. We got an abundance of kids with a great response from the community. So we're excited about liftoff for sure.
And I'm sure something that's also pretty attractive to the program is the facility. I'm an Islanders fan, so I've been to that rink a few times to see some Bridgeport games. So what does that, building have to offer the guys? And, how can you guys use that as a recruiting tool, as the offseason as the recruiting season moves on?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, I think facilities are big these days, how kids are treated, from how much coaches care, from the resources that you have in place, the professionalism as well. So Total Mortgage Arena, we've been there for the past 2 years. It's been a great footprint for us as far as recruiting any kid who comes on the ice or comes to a game or is in part of the environment, the atmosphere. They love it, so it's an easy recruiting tool for sure. We have our own locker rooms there as well too, meeting rooms for conferences, TV platforms as well too for team video and individual video. So it really fits the needs for us as a program. And I think when we're looking at this and how we're going to build this out and put the blueprint together, coaching's big, the people around you, and then the footprint where you're going to play and practice, is monstrous. So, TMA, as we call it for short, is going to be, a great resource for us, a fun place for guys to play in for as far as our kids. And then I think also too, for the league, having that sense of professionalism as well too, it brings another element too, because I think we're all about trying to continue to level up, and make sure that we have that strong sense of professionalism here too.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Peter. Obviously, you saw my quote with the story. Everyone saw my quote with the story. I was beyond excited to make this announcement, and just the way we could do so with the emphatic brand name and logo makes me feel even better about what's to come with your program. And Jake can attest, we make a lot of predictions on this podcast every week. So we can start talking pretty soon here about the elite Golden Knights, and you never know. Next year's regional finals and frozen finals are well in sight. So
that is bold.
Listen, I'm just
No
saying.
pressure.
I feel good. So we appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to seeing you down the stretch here, because I know you'll be out watching us finish up this year in preparation for your first season this upcoming fall.
Yeah, well, thanks for everything. Appreciate you believing in us and our product, and the support you're giving us as well too. And even the jumping on the podcast. These are great opportunities and exposure for us as well. So thank you.
Thanks again to Peter Alden for joining us on the podcast here. Jake, I know you wanted to get to the food question. I could feel it in you. There'll be a time and a place for that.
What is your favorite? Are you like a Sally's or are you a Frank Pepe's guy? Like, where do you lean?
Probably Pepe's.
Me too.
Chris and I went to a Pepe's during the college series, and it was great.
I need to get to a Pepe's again. It's been a minute.
Yeah. So, but I feel great about them. Obviously, the logo just pops, man. Like, and us being media guy backgrounds, like it's just that's the stuff that hits home. So
yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it was
so
bold.
Cool at the rink that they're playing at. Like that's such a cool thing too. Like we're gonna have to showcase that. Like that's like I don't know. Yeah. Every year, right? The battle for best facility. It gets even tighter.
Yeah. I probably went a little bold with the regional finals and frozen finals, but listen,
you never know, man. Look what the real Golden Knights did.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like they went to the finals that very first year. So, but I knew, excited to have him join us on the podcast this week. So, one name check that I knew we would be talking about would be Peter Alden. Another name that I knew we would talk about, despite a loss yesterday. But I have to say this name because he will be part of the cover of this week's episode, is Nicky DeGeorge. What did he eat over the holiday break?
Oh my goodness. I wrote stars of the week yesterday, or picked him yesterday. Nicky DeGeorge, shocker, 12 points in 3 games, is going to win star of the week. Yeah. There's not much to say. Like we picked him for best hands, right? When we were like, what skill do we want to take to build our perfect player? But I don't know. Yesterday I was talking to him. I spent, the whole day with him because he stuck around for the P game because he's that kind of guy too. And we were chatting during that game. And, he was just giving a lot of credit to Danny Kehoe and Adam Quinn, his 2 line mates. Just like, I mean, he said word for word, like, I wouldn't be doing this without Freezer, who is Quinn, and Danny. So, I mean, to do what he did against the Avalanche.
Hold on. Freezer?
Yeah, Freezer is Adam Quinn's nickname.
Do I want to know why?
Yeah, I know. It's just because he's super chill.
I can't keep up with this, Jake.
You got to be on the ground level sometimes with me. It's fun.
Oh he's nicknamed Freezer because he's super chill. Got it. Okay, yeah. Moving on.
Yeah. So, but I mean, the hat trick performance to kick the week off was obviously against an elite team in the East Coast Wizards, and then factoring in on 6 goals in a single game is really impressive. I'm sure we'll get to the P show and talk about somebody who factored in on 6 goals just yesterday. But while we're still on Nicky DeGeorge, then I'm talking to him pregame, and he's like, now I need to do it against the Avalanche, who they feel are the best team in the league. Kind of been their white whale this season, unable to beat them. And unfortunately, the season series for the Seahawks did not go their way. But yesterday was a 2-2 game until the Avs scored 2 quick ones. But factoring in on both those goals was Nicky DeGeorge.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this before on the podcast. Like, is it better to be the Avs who won every single one of those playoff matchups? Regular season matchups? Or the Seahawks who didn't win one, and then you get to a potential playoff matchup, and listen, I saw this at Quinnipiac. They beat Yale my senior year 3 times in a row. The 4th time they faced them was the national championship game, and they did not win that game, right? So it's like, do the Seahawks first off, I guess, feel like they're close because, like you said, that game was 2-2 heading into the 3rd period.
And another key thing to know is, like, outside the very first meeting, or maybe not even the very first meeting, but definitely for at least 3 out of the 4, they haven't had Garrett Bouchard. They didn't have Alex Friedman or Jack Mikas yesterday. So they were down 3 top 6 defensemen, and Garrett Bouchard is a top 5 defenseman in all of the EHL. And he is hopefully going to be back at the end of this week. They're still missing Connor Evans, so he's also hopefully going to be back at the end of this week. So they, it's hard to judge just what the Seahawks could do when they have those bodies back. And I think they kind of been waiting for that. They won 5 straight before that. But to answer your question, whether it's better, I think it's right now the way it's been, right? The way the league has been, it's always better to be an Avalanche.
21-3-2. Have we solidified yet? I mean, game 1 of the playoffs, who's playing in net? Like, do you just flip a coin?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard. I watched yesterday's game, and Eileen Hussar, he was fantastic yesterday. And then I think back at the college series, I'm like, no, it's Arnott. So I have no idea.
Yeah.
If I could just judge based on the vibe right now, I maybe lean Hussar slightly.
Okay. I mean, obviously,
just watching that ass team yesterday, man. Colton Lawrence, Gavin Bernson, and Noah Rogers are their 3rd line.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That's depth.
That's
depth.
Yeah.
They've opened up a 7-point lead now in the North Division. And remember, whoever wins the North, whoever wins the East, those are your 1 and 2, despite if even 2nd place in the North is above first place in the East. It's kind of NFL playoffs, if you will. Where the division champions get the 1 through 4, and then after that, your wild card teams, right? So, but for the Avalanche, I think they're thinking bigger than just the North Division. Obviously, they've split their matchup so far with Rhode Island, and they still have 2 games in hand. They're behind by 5 points now because Rhode Island dropped one to the Apple Court. We've talked about this, Jake. When these teams play in mid-late, whatever you want to call it, March, that is going to be for the regular season title. That's not even a bold prediction. That's an accurate, factual, that's happening prediction.
Yeah, I mean, the way it's lining up, right? If Rhode Island continues to win at a similar rate, so do the Avs. I think the biggest question is what Rhode Island comes out of there showcased with, because obviously that schedule is pretty grueling. So if they drop 1 or 2, if they go 1-1-1 at that showcase, the Avs, that they might be in the driver's seat of that race at that point. So it really, I think it will come down to the showcase. Rhode Island has proven that they are the top dog within their division, and I mean, they were not happy with me and my prediction. It's college all over again. I was wicked early, So it was like maybe the Nor'easters still pull it out on the 15th too. Like, I don't know, but they were like, we heard your prediction, and they told me I was going to be wrong, and they were right. I was wrong.
Well, I guess there's kind of two parts to that, right? Were the Apple Core frustrated as well? Because you essentially predicted a Rhode Island sweep then.
They did not mention that.
Okay.
Rhode Island was a little bit more dialed in. It was funny because Greg was like, "Oh, they've been talking about the podcast," which we think is great. I love to hear that kind of stuff. To know that our predictions are making it into the room. Like, if we can ruffle some feathers, I think we're doing our job for sure. Especially on like the players level. Like the coaches, like the wind could blow the wrong way and their day is ruined. But the players, I want to get in their heads. You know what I mean? So maybe, I don't know. No, the Apple Core seemed pretty chill with my prediction, but I know they proved me wrong for sure. And I mean, they have such a dominant top line, right? I was texting you during that Rhode Island game, just Gage Winter, Brady Galante, the difference that they make when they're out there. The Apple Core are a different team. Like they compete with anybody when those two guys are out there leading the charge for them.
For sure, and similar to that Seahawks Avalanche debate that we were just talking about, for the Apple Core to get a win in that season series, maybe it's different for them checking off that box before it gets to the postseason compared to like Seahawks versus Avalanche, because they do play again twice in February out in Brewster, which probably gives New York a little bit of some confidence to maybe hopefully split that one again. But huge for them to get a victory like that on the road. Before we go, though, like the couch interview, how did you even like stage that? Like, was that your idea?
Well, so in Rhode Island, like the locker room is upstairs. So every time I go to Thayer, it's like I go upstairs, the players have to walk down, they have to walk through the Zamboni area, and then back to that big corner where there's enough room to film. And I was like, Rhode Island doesn't really ever lose when I'm at Thayer. Like, I've been to 2 other games at Thayer this year, and they've won. And every time, like, I got to lead the player or players on this, like, meandering journey to get an interview. And I was like, they have a players' lounge up here. I think it would be funny if we're just, like, sitting in front of a painting on these nice chairs, like, and it was 2 of the best guys you could ask for to do that kind of thing. So it was good.
Yeah. I when I saw you sitting down and then, like, the belt over Haldane's shoulder, I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. This could be like
It's pretty cool. And honestly, it's funny because like they walk out of the room and it's a left to get to downstairs and they start going left and I'm on the right side behind them. Like, no, we're doing it up here. And Haldane was like, yes. So it's like they don't even want to go all the way down there. So it was a good audible to call.
So funny. Before we move on to the EHLP, we're not going to have a podcast this upcoming week because of the crossover series and traveling for that. And honestly, the Patriots play again, so my head may be all over the place, Jake. But we got to cover.
Are on Sunday?
They're on Sunday during the crossover series. I could already like picture what you're going to say to me because I'm going to be watching both at the same time.
No, I can't begrudge you on that. The amount of like Islander games I watched during class, like I can't begrudge you for that.
It's when I'm watching golf at the same time.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Yeah, I mean, there are some like, P-show night games where I'll have the Islanders on my other laptop. Like, while we play it. Like, it's great procedure. What can a man do?
That's fair. I know we're heading into this second edition of the crossover series, and the 87s do have a victory over the Express this year. It took place at the midseason snowdown. But if you look at November, when the teams were in Hooksett, the Avalanche rink, the Northeast dominated, right? Express won both their games. Avalanche won both their games. With where Philly Hockey Club is, kind of call it sandwiched between these two teams, 87s and Bears, but the games in hand, 4 on the 87s, 6 on the Bears, plus factoring in what took place in November, the 87s and Bears as a collective unit have to be feeling the pressure heading into this weekend.
Yeah, I think so. And I think the Avs definitely, just numbers wise, have won their games more handedly against those teams. So I think that's the bigger hill to climb if you're, New Jersey or New Jersey. But for the 87, obviously health was a little bit of a question mark back then. So, and even over the showcase where they played the Avalanche, like that was, and the Express when they beat them. I mean, they did that without, some of their top gunners. So to have a fully healthy squad where even the guys that are playing are not, melting as they're on the ice, like I think that'll be huge for the 87s. And for the Bears, I think there's more pressure on them. They are still searching for, I think, a couple of more big wins this season. They, just dropped a couple to the Philly Little Flyers, who, last week we were talking about they need wins over the three teams above them, and they just checked two off the boxes. And I want to see them beat PHC. I want to see them beat the 87s. And I think they're on that path now for sure. I mean, a great game for Brocklehurst, a great game for Bezdek. But yeah, I think so. I think the pressure is definitely on both those teams. The 87s have proven they could do it, so I think a little bit less on them. But the Bears, you're the host now, so this is your own building. Like, you do not want to drop another two to these two teams.
For sure, for sure. Before we transition to the EHLP, I think if I had picked the Saturday Apple Core Rhode Island game of the week, it would have been better than Friday.
Yeah, I mean, you're not a crystal ball. It's okay. It happens.
Okay, but yesterday's EHLP game of the week, we got that right because of yes, single game performances. And I know you could slide in your old joke here because I've been in the league longer than you have, but whether it's my tenure in this league or yours, I don't know if we've seen a single game performance better than what Ryan Doobie did yesterday for the Avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, he scored every single one of his team's goals in the second period, and it was incredible to watch because it was just like it was a really good crowd. It was late on a Sunday, and obviously the Avs are they have pretty local kids, including Ryan Doobie, who played out of Spalding, New Hampshire. So just to hear the crowd and like to see like little kids were being like, "Was that Doobie again?" Like, it was pretty cool. Like, it felt like a pretty sick environment. And they were, like, parents just looking around. It was like, same kid, same kid. Like, it was special to watch. And the fifth goal, which Ian O'Brien, our videographer for the Games of the Week, got yesterday was unbelievable. Nicky DeGeorge looks at me, and he says, that probably beats my goal from the October showcase. Yeah. Yeah. And, like, it's funny because we were talking about single game performances. He has the 6 points. Doobie has 5 goals and an assist yesterday. And, like, some of the, like, he's picking corners. It's unbelievable to watch. And, like, I wonder if, because the Avs P team, they, bookended their 2025 before the December showcase, but Ryan Doobie didn't. He got his first EHL goal at the December showcase. So, I mean, he did that. And then his very next game, scored 5 goals. He's probably feeling really good about himself. And he's an unbelievable kid. I've known him for a couple of years playing, New Hampshire high school hockey. So to see him in the league and, talk to him yesterday, he plans on returning, being an EHL guy next year. Like, that's what it's all about. And, proving that you could dominate this level and then move up and score a goal. I mean, good on Ryan Doobie and what he's doing for his team and the P right now.
I'm glad that you bring that up because he did play in the EHL this year and he did score, but from an Avalanche coaching staff management perspective, as an 07, is it better for him to continue to dominate the EHLP and the way this is going, maybe lead that team to a championship?
I think that's kind of the feeling. Coach Borden said yesterday, like, this is the team that could do it. He's like, if this team like doesn't do it, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. There's nothing he's doing wrong. It's an unbelievable team. Playoffs are always a different animal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Doobie, I mean, that team is obviously super deep. We talk about it all the time. But he does drive the bus. There is the best player on that team, and he wears 68. But, for him, I would be happy if, I spotted into a few more games, made a good impact at the EHL level, just continue to set the sights on next year for that. He's got 2 more years to go. And, kind of just help lead this team to a championship this year. Whether they could do it with or without him, I don't know. Because, take away his 5 goals yesterday. the Seahawks win that game. So obviously, you take away 5 goals from a team, that'll happen. So, yeah, I would, if I'm Doobie, it's a rare thing to win a championship. And yes, the Avs can do it at both levels, but he obviously wouldn't be the guy he is right now if he's doing it at the EHL level.
Yeah.
Win a championship, have Neil Ravin shake your hand you the MVP plaque at the end of the year. And yeah, that's what I say if I'm right.
Well, they have 20 wins, 3 losses, and 1 shootout loss. And there's been 3 times this season where he's been held off the score sheet. And those are 3 of the 4 losses that the Avalanche have. So
there you go.
If you can somehow manage to keep him off the score sheet, you have a chance.
Well, it's like Ville Bowden and the Express. They have 1 win when Ville doesn't score. This is what happens when you have these caliber players that can make differences like this.
For sure. I appreciate you plugging my name in there for the handshake.
You know how it is, man. Like people think you're really cool, and like I personally don't get it. But like Nicky DeGeorge was talking about it yesterday. Like he was saying, like you were at the game when they played Providence, and it was just cool to see you there. Like you do have an aura about you, and you like one time like a player when they were doing the thing, they asked if they could put their arm around you. Like they it's a
my God, who was that again?
Was it Kolesnikov?
I think so. Yeah. I guess my kids don't think that, Jake, because they kick the crap out of me, but it's great that
they'll get there. They'll get there. I mean, like everybody goes through those kinds of phases, right? Like your dad's the coolest thing in the world, and he's like, all right, parents are lame, and like now once again, my dad's the coolest thing in the world,
Yeah, fair. Well, I'm glad that I guess I'm glad that the players notice when I'm around, which is
cool.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna. We'll come back to this in a future episode, but we'll segue to fantasy with the obvious statement that we always have with the EHLP South. I still don't get it. We talked about this every week, and obviously the teams continue to jump up and down, and I guess what I'm excited about as part of this South trip, Jake, because this is actually. I have to recount for you. I didn't count Media Week. You've already gone to the South 3 times. This is the 4th.
Okay, so you were counting the college series then.
No, I was counting you went down for games at one point.
I went down for games beginning of December.
Okay.
And and I was counting Media Week. I was saying Media Week, JB Goes South 1, and now crossover / JB Goes South the sequel.
Got it. Okay. Fair. It's just, JB has gone south a lot. That's
I mean, it's like the first episode of JB Goes South back in December. I got to see all 5 teams and a P-show game. Like that was a catch-all JB Goes South.
That was well coordinated for sure. So, but we'll transition now to the E-Show Fantasy Challenge.
Now it's time for the E-Show Fantasy Challenge. Follow along on the EHL app.
So the stats are pretty up to date, just so everyone knows I haven't plugged in Sunday yet. That's why, people will... I don't know if you get messages, Jake, but I sometimes have people reach out asking, when are the stats updated through? And if I could figure out a way to make the font bigger, you know what I'm going to do, Jake? I'm going to share my screen, because it just makes it a lot easier to explain myself as I'm doing this.
You have to wear out your finger trying to find me on this.
Well, here you go. You can see my screen now, right? I know the font's not big here, but at the top it says
it's pretty
as
there.
of 110. So what I'm basically saying is it's showing you what it's through. It's not it is a rather time-consuming process. I won't deny that. Being able to plug all the stats in. So it doesn't include Nicky DeGeorge's stats from yesterday or Don Bouchon yet, but just to highlight so far, just in the 2 games he had 32 points fantasy-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty special. So
for the guys who have Express and Philly Hockey Club guys, they have busy Januaries, but it hasn't hit yet. Like those busy days are coming for both those teams. So if you have a PhD in Express Sky, like your points are going to go up as the month goes.
I love how you said it's hard to scroll to find your name. You're technically at 53rd right now.
Yeah, it's really. I'm the lowest of the entire staff.
It's early though, and listen, I don't know if Mikey told you this, but I'm glad Mikey's ahead of me right now because I stomped him in fantasy this week.
Oh, no, I did not even know about that, but I picked his defenseman for him, so you're welcome. That's a good pick so far.
Yeah, no, in our Yahoo fantasy, I handled business against your brother this week. I won by like 35. Yeah. My David Pastrnak 6 assist game against him really hurt.
And oh my god, I wanted to go to that game just because I hate the Rangers, and I was like, I got high school hockey. I should have just went. That would have been electric.
Well, it's funny. I have so I have a friend I went to college with at Quinnipiac. We'll plug that one more time. He got married to a girl that we went to school with too. She's a Bruins fan. He's a Rangers fan. They went to the game. Oh God. Oh God. I felt so bad for him because it's like goal.
I'll never.
And I was like,
no, good.
I was like, when did you wave the white flag and say like, can we leave? He goes, the 9th goal. I go, that's good because there was a 10th too.
Oh God, I wish I would have went. That would have been. I've never been to a Bruins game where I could like root for the Bruins, so it would have been nice to do that. But it's always good to see the Rangers get stomped on. But it's tight at the top here in fantasy, and my college roommate, 3rd place, baby, at an SBU.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what I do love also? I don't know if you noticed this, Jake, but there was some chatter on the EHLP power rankings graphic on Instagram. So
I saw that. Between
this podcast, power rankings, fantasy, we're doing our job. We are creating motivation amongst the players to want to beat each other. On top of regular drive.
I stir pots with my hands and I stir pots with my mouth. That's what I do.
Fair enough. But obviously, like I said, we aren't recording a podcast next week, so just keep an eye on fantasy. Got to plug in yesterday's, all this upcoming week. January not even halfway done yet, so a lot can still change. But if Nicky DeGeorge keeps this pace, I'm sorry, everyone. If you don't have him, you're not going to win this month.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his eyes on Player of the Month here. I definitely think he wants to win that. Props to you. That Game of the Week was your idea. eShow Fantasy Challenge was your idea. Wait, we think Game of the Week was your idea. Definitely your idea was the power rankings.
Yes.
I go to the game yesterday and like the Avs and Seahawks kids are like, oh, were we Game of the Week? It's like they want to be that. And you see the shares when we initially post Game of the Week. Like I think there's definitely a buzz around it when we do that.
For sure. Well, with that being said, let's pick some games of the week now and what to watch for.
And now here's what to watch for in the EHL and the EHLP.
Usually we come on this podcast and we already have these actually picked, but I called off this morning's staff meeting, Jake, as like a preemptive warning for myself. Like if the Patriots lost last night, I don't know what time we would have started recording. I wouldn't have been ready.
I'll tell you, I had to work a 11-hour day when the Islanders lost in Game 7 to Tampa the day after. And I remember our chef at the pizzeria asked me, did I cry last night? And I said yes. And he just laughed at me and turned around and went back to cooking.
And it's like, listen, I'm real in the sense of I know that the Patriots were 4-13 last year, and I would have been happy if they had won 10 games and not make the playoffs. But what the team does, and listen, the Islanders are doing it for you a little bit this year. They build up hope.
Like, do I feel like they're a championship caliber team? No. And like, honestly, like, I haven't watched a ton of football, but I know the Patriots, like, they didn't take on many elite teams this year, so it's kind of hard to judge. But like for the Islanders, like I see the way they play, like the lower end teams in the league, and then they beat the Wild. It's like, why? It's a confusing thing, but at the end of the day, they're second place in the Metro. It's like, if they're gonna do that, like, why not make the playoffs?
Yeah, and then once they get in and they win a round or whatnot, you're like, now I can't get over this. So
I know.
But for the EHL, we can't circle all 4 crossover series games on Sunday and Monday, but I find Wednesday fascinating. I didn't coordinate this. Do you see what's happening Wednesday?
Yeah, you have Bears 87s and Avs Express, yeah.
Is this like an appetizer in a way?
It's like the warm-up, yeah, it's fun. Well, interesting, 87s and Bears were each other's last meeting going into the crossover series last time. And it was like a 4-3, I think, win for the 87s, a comeback fashion.
Yep. And listen, let's add some extra motivation for the South guys, and let's circle the Avalanche Express game as the game of the week, and not circle 87s Bears. Could still be a great game, right? But I'm circling the Avalanche Express game as a motivating factor for the 2 South teams next weekend, but also the Express are on a 13-game point streak, right? So I think this matchup, while they're excited for the weekend coming up, I think they're extra excited for this matchup, because if I'm the Express and I can knock off the Avs on Wednesday, I'm feeling really good on that bus ride down to Jersey for Sunday and Monday.
100%.
And if they're going to win, Ville probably will have to score. Use that Captain Obvious statement. As for the EHLP, you have a game in mind? Because I have one that jumps to my mind if you want me to just take this too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said this earlier. I think you've said it at one point. I know we've probably changed our regional finals picks 5 times on this podcast, but Union Bears on Saturday. I mean, if you ask me today, I think it's them. Judging off of that Instagram back and forth between the Seals and the Bears, the Seals think it's them. But I still feel like today, if you ask me to pick a matchup today, it's Union Bears, so why not highlight that matchup on Saturday in Union?
And I think, though, the last 2 meetings have swung Bears. And in one of them, the one before Thanksgiving, they put up 8 on them. The one right after, they put up 5 on them. Union definitely has some revenge, and they just had a big 2 games that they just won. So, yeah, I think Union's got some good momentum right now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, those are the 2 games of the week this week, plus the crossover series. No podcast next week. There's a ton of action, though, on the slate. So, as always, if you can make it out in person, that's great. These games have been electric in person. I mean, look at the Ryan Doobie game. I mean, January 11th will go down as Ryan Doobie Day at some point, right? But if you can't make it, as always, tune in on Flow Hockey. I know Patrick Milam will be calling the crossover series with you, Jake, next weekend. We're excited for that. So NR joins JB going south. We'll have some fun with it.
Yeah, we're gonna check out some games before the crossover series too, so it should be fun.
Yeah. Thanks again to Peter Alden for jumping on the podcast this week, and one last welcome to the elite Golden Knights to the EHL. We're beyond excited to have them. So for the podcast fans at home, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Learn more about us at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when our next podcast episode is released.